Brahmanath. Om. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Swastha.
Hello students, welcome to the third unit of After 20 Years. Before we discuss the third unit, let's just gather what did we learn in the second unit in the last class. In our last class, we saw that how the waiting man or the stranger did narrate his story, the entire story to the policeman. He said that 20 years back, both he and his friend Jimmy Wells had dined in this restaurant, in the Brady's restaurant, and both were born and brought up together. At that time, the waiting man or the stranger was 18 years and Jimmy Wells was 20 years old. He further added that the next morning we departed. We went in our own ways, in the own roads to make our fortune. Jimmy, being a hummingbird, stayed back in New York, whereas I here is referring to the stranger or the man waiting for his friend. He said that I did test my fortune. I did go to the west to make my fame, my fortune. And it did bring me good. And finally, he tells the policeman that, of course, New York is a place where people get into the rut. Here, get into the rut means that people have a monotonous, boring, habitual course of life and nothing is different. You have the same thing happening to you every day as a habitual habit. But the West requires a lot of fight. Fight here refers to strive to win, to compete, to have a competition with the intelligent people, with the witty people. And so he says that he had a good fight. He had to strive hard to win and to make his fortune, and so he's a rich man. He has earned a lot of wealth. Finally, when he ends up, the policeman, hearing everything, speaks nothing. He just gives him a patience hearing, and finally he takes a step back. He shows a course of action where the policeman tells him or greets him good night as he was on patrolling duty. He couldn't stand there the whole night to talk to him or to listen to his story. He had to do his duty. And so he wished him good night, he greeted him good night, and he went forward with his patrolling duty. Now, let's touch Unit 3. You know, writers, they always give us an unexpected twist to their stories. And why do they do that? To surprise the readers. Writers do have that habit. They always give an unexpected twist. Okay? And they want to surprise the readers. And so, when we will be going ahead with Unit 3, we will learn, we will see that what's the surprise the writer has for us in the store. So let me begin. The text. The wind was growling more chilly. So the wind was getting more chilly here. More chilly refers to being severe cold. Okay? It was getting colder. And the wind was growing slowly and slowly. It was getting more colder. There was severe cold. And the drizzle was thickening. Drizzle means fine droplets. But here now thickening means those droplets were becoming thick. It was turning into a rainfall. The few people who were out quickened their steps. Their coat collars turned up and hands pocketed. So obviously, as the weather, the climatic condition wasn't favorable, wasn't desirable. So, and this locality was such that people didn't keep up to late hours. So everybody was now getting into their homes, and few people who were there, they were quickening, they were fast trying to move and get to their homes, and all as it was very cold, severe cold, and now even it had started raining. The drizzle had now turned into thick droplets and it had turned to rain. So people, they had all the collars. You know what a collar is? A coat collar. You have the collar on the shirt, okay, that they had turned up. It was up to the ears, okay. They had lifted the collar up instead of putting it in a proper way. And hands pocketed. Pocketed means put into one's pocket, to keep your hands inside the pocket to acquire warmth, okay. That's the reason why hands are being pocketed, so that you can carry a little warmth. And near the door of the hardware store, the man who had come 1,000 miles to fill an appointment with the friend of his youth smoked his cigar and waited. So in this situation, in this condition, atmospheric condition, what was the waiting man doing? He was actually standing there itself in front of or near the door of the hardware store where he was standing, and he stood there as he had come 1,000 miles to keep his promise and meet his friend whom he had seen 20 years back. And what was he doing? He was smoking his cigar and waiting, eagerly waiting for his friend Jimmy Wells. After 20 minutes, he waited. So about 20 minutes he waited, and then a tall man in a long overcoat. So what happened? About 20 minutes he kept on waiting from the scheduled time. And after that, a tall man with a long overcoat, okay, the coat was very long, with collar turned up to his ears, okay, turned up means up to, clear? So the collar of the coat was up to the ears. It was very cold, chilly, so just when the collar is up to the ears, you are able to avoid the cold wind hitting your ears and your face. So the collar was up to the ears. Hurried across from the opposite side of the street, and the man from the opposite side, from the other side of the street, immediately fast and quickened the steps and came closer. The tall man, the man was waiting, okay, who had come 1,000 miles, and the tall man from the other side of the road immediately, hurriedly, with fast steps, quickened towards the waiting man near the hardware store. And what happened then? He went directly to the waiting man. "Is that you, Bob?" he asked doubtfully. Doubtfully means when you suspect or suspectfully, okay? So he said that when the tall man approached closer to the waiting man near the door of the hardware store, he went close to him, the tall man, and he asked directly, very frank and freely, the tall man with that overcoat, long overcoat and the collar up to the ears, he just went close to the waiting man and asked him, "Is that you, Bob?" And he asked doubtfully. "Is that you, Jimmy Wells?" cried the man near the door. The moment the tall man asked, "Is that you, Bob?" the waiting man immediately put a question saying that, "Is that you, Jimmy Wells?" And cried the man near the door, means he was extremely happy to note his friend for whom he was waiting since long, whom he hadn't seen for last 20 years, and they had an appointment, and today he had traveled thousands of miles and he had come to meet his friend Jimmy Wells. He was more than excited when the waiting man was You know, it's an expression. It is used as a sincere expression of genuine concern. You know, we make use of such expressions like, oh my God, my, oh God, bless. We make use of such expressions when we show genuine concern to somebody. It's an expression. Instead of saying, I'm so happy to meet you, we say, oh my God, I wasn't expecting it. What does it mean when you say, oh my God, it means that you are damn happy to see that XYZ person in front of you as you were not expecting him or her. So it's the happiness, the delightment of your heart and mind that is getting carried away in your words expressing, oh my God, oh my God. Clear? So this bless my heart is also an expression. It's a sincere expression of genuine concern. So bless my heart. Exclaim the new arrival. Who's the new arrival? Yes, you're right. Jimmy Wells. Jimmy Wells, or according to Bob is the waiting man. Okay? The waiting man near the door of the hardware store is Bob. And according to him, the tall man who has come is Jimmy Wells. So here the new arrival is the tall man, or whom Bob feels, or the waiting man feels, is Jimmy Wells. I hope you have understood that. So bless my heart, exclaim the new arrival. So the new arrival is the tall man, grasping both the other's hands with his own. Here grasping means to take and hold someone very tightly. When you are very excited to meet somebody, when you are very excited that you have reached some height, when you are very excited you have got success, or you are very happy for something that has happened in your life, you know. Sometimes we catch hold of the hands and we just go on, we hold tightly our parents, mom, dad, when we are very excited, very happy. So the tall man showed a sincere expression of genuine concern when the waiting man, they tell him, is that you, Jimmy Wells? And so he showed his genuine concern and he held his hands very tightly. It's Bob, sure as fate. Sure as fate means very certain. Okay? Very certain. What does it mean here? That the tall man or the new arrival says to Bob, I'm sure it's you, Bob. Okay, it's undoubtedly, certainly you. Okay, that's what he's saying. He's trying to express. I was certain I did find you here if you were still in existence. Still in existence refers to be in state of living. So what is that new arrival or the tall man saying to the waiting man or Bob? He's saying that I was sure, and I'm sure it's you, Bob, and I was completely known that, I was certain that you would surely come, turn up, if you were in a state of living, means alive. You did exist, you would surely come. Well, 20 years is a long time. The old restaurant is gone, Bob. I wish it had lasted so that we could have another dinner together. How has the West treated you, old man? So here now, after saying that, after showing the tall man or the new arrival, after showing his sincere expression of genuine concern, his be there. The same Brady's restaurant would be there, and both of us, as we did dine together, we had dinner together 20 years back in this restaurant. If it would be there today, we would do the same thing. And saying that, the tall man or the new arrival is questioning the waiting man or Bob that how has the West treated you, old man? He addresses him as old man, okay? Just making him feel a little funny. He says that, old man, how has the West treated you? I mean, what have you done there? How and what the West has given you? What all you have achieved, and what about your career? So he is trying to inquire and ask the tall man or the new arrival. Nothing to complain of. It has given me everything I asked for. So very voluntarily, the waiting man or Bob replies the tall man, you know, nothing to complain. There's nothing to complain because I've got everything. The West has really given me everything that I wanted or I had asked for. So you have changed a lot, Jimmy. You look taller by 8 or 10 centimeters than when we met last. Doing well in New York, Jimmy? So now, after saying the waiting man, after replying the tall man or Bob, after replying Jimmy, that yes, nothing to complain. I don't have anything to complain because I have acquired all success. I have got everything that I had asked for from the West. He is asking to the tall man or the waiting, the new arrival, that you have changed, you know. Jimmy, he says that, Jimmy, you have changed because last we met 20 years when they met, they had dinner, they had departed the next morning. At that time, according to Bob, Jimmy was 20 years old and Bob was 18 years old. So 20 years old means already the growth rate had somewhat come to a pause, and he must have grown within these 18 years up to a certain height. So he is feeling a little doubtful here. Although if not doubtful, he is finding it a little difficult. Who? He here refers to the waiting man or Bob is finding it a little difficult or having a question mark here that you look a little taller than last we met. They didn't meet at the age of 4, 5, 7, 10, but at the age of 20 they had departed. He was 18 and he was 20. So he says you have grown 8 to 10 centimeters since last we met. Doing well in New York, Jimmy. So then after that, he doesn't hold that too much. He moves forward. He also wants to know that what has Jimmy been doing in New York and how prosperous he too has been. So he asks the waiting man, or Bob is questioning the tall man, that you must have also been doing well in New York. Not so bad. So what's the answer? That the tall man or the new arrival, or we can say Jimmy Wells, gives? Not so bad. It wasn't bad. Okay, it's not very good, but it wasn't bad. I work in a departmental store as assistant manager. What does he say? I work in a departmental store as an assistant manager. Good pay and other benefits. Not only the salary is sound and good, but also to that I have certain other benefits attached to a good salary. Come on, Bob, we will go round to a place I know, often have a good long talk about old times. So here the tall man is saying to Bob, or Jimmy Wells is saying to Bob, the waiting man, come on, let's just not stand over here and talk. Let's go to a place that I know. I know a place where we can walk and go and we can sit and chat and have a conversation about our old times, man from the west waited for 20 minutes more. And how was the second tag, or you have a tag to the question. The second question that is tagged is that, what was weather then? The weather was very windy. Cold winds were blowing, and the cold was becoming severe, and the drizzle had thickened. People were all quickening their steps to go back home, and the people who were there on the streets had long coats with the collars up and hands pocketed, and then the collars, and turned everybody. They walked. This man, the waiting man or the stranger, was standing in front of the door of the hardware store, waiting for his friend, lighting a cigar, and who had come 1,000 miles to meet his friend with whom he had an appointment 20 years back. Okay? You can write that. How did the man from the west and the man in a long coat or overcoat greet each other? Okay, how did the man from the west? West refers to the waiting man or Bob, and the tall man here refers to Jimmy Wells. How they greeted each other. Okay, so you can write like this, that when the waiting man, or you can mention that when the man from the west waited for 20 minutes and he had a cigar lit and had come 1,000 miles to meet his friend Jimmy Wells, with whom he had an appointment 20 years back. The weather the atmosphere was quite chilly, with thickened drizzle or with rain, and a long tall man with a long overcoat came closer to him from the other side of the road, and he came closer. He did address him as Bob, and Bob made sure that he is Jimmy. Then the tall man felt extremely happy, and he showed an expression of sincere, genuine concern that he was very happy to meet Bob after 20 years, and he took hold of his hand tightly and they greeted each other. Clear? So this is how you can write the answer to the second question. As I said, that the concluding part of Unit 3 we will discuss in the next class. Thank you.